So you love photography and you have no idea how to turn that into a real career. Whether you're fresh out of school or you are just obsessed with photography, in today's episode we are going to be talking about 5 different careers that you can pursue as a photographer, what you should expect on average for salary all across the nation, and what skills do you need to really stand out in those careers. The episode, we are going to be talking about portrait photographers. What comes to mind when thinking about a portrait photographer? Think about family photos, senior photos, headshots, or even maternity shoots. What are the requirements? You should have at least a decent portfolio, you should have good people skills, and gear like a DSLR or a mirrorless camera with a fast portrait lens. What does that mean? Having a lens that has a really fast aperture, which basically means having that low, like 1.8, to have that really buttery smooth background. What skills might you need? You should have pretty good skills in posing people and have a decent understanding of retouching in Lightroom or Photoshop. So you might be wondering, how difficult is this job? Honestly, maybe a medium. I think the hardest and biggest challenge for this career is getting consistent work, finding the people that actually need your work being done. On average, a portrait photographer can be looking at $40,000 a year nationwide on average, depending on how hard you are working and the location you are based in. This is a great way if you want to become a freelancer or work in a studio. This can be something that you create on your own and be really based on your own time frame, and you become your own boss. Alright, time for number 2. We are talking about wedding photographers. If you are really into storytelling and can handle lots of pressure, wedding photography might be just for you. I made a video talking about all the things that you should prepare for before your first wedding, so make sure to go watch that video before your first wedding. When talking about a wedding photographer, what are the requirements? Honestly, experience is super key. Before you become main photographer of a wedding, usually you are the second shooter. You're basically like the assistant for the main photographer. You are taking extra photos. You are not the person taking the main down the aisle kissing right after the ceremony. Your job is to catch up with all the things that the photographer might not be able to get, maybe during cocktail hour. Usually you start as a second shooter before you become that main photographer. Honestly, you'll need a solid amount of gear, backups, confidence with timelines. These are things that you need to have a pretty rigid and strong schedule in your life, because once you have this wedding, this is an expensive item. You need to be able to return the wedding in a reasonable amount of time, not have things lost. This is a really big deal that you need to really prepare for before you start getting into weddings. Let's talk about the skills of a wedding photographer. You need to be good at emotionally capturing the day, natural lighting, editing really fast, and working really well under pressure. How hard is this job? Honestly, at least in my opinion, it's difficult. There is no do-overs for a wedding day, and sometimes that hits really hard and you miss the focus and you have to tell the couple that you missed this photo. It can be a really stressful job. Let's talk about, on average, how much money can a wedding photographer make? Honestly, a wedding photographer can make a lot of money. I will say that. Let's say on average, nationwide, you can make anywhere from 60 to 100,000, and honestly, way more. These are just averages for the nation. If you become really good, you can make $3,000 to $8,000 in just one wedding, if not way more. This can be really great and very lucrative if you are really good under high stress, because this can lead to high reward. Alright, let's talk about number 3, which is product or commercial photographer. So this would be taking photos of images, can be anything from, food photography to items that you would be selling on Amazon or on someone's website. So what are the requirements? Honestly, you need to have a pretty good, decent knowledge of studio lighting, backdrops, and tethered shooting. I think a lot of people will tell you tethered shooting. I don't know if that's super needed, but it's great to have so that you can show the clients or even look at your own photos really quickly while taking the photos on a bigger device usually. But it's really important to have good knowledge of studio lighting, because you're gonna probably be in an enclosed space. You need to know how to use really big lights, maybe small lights, using a combination of RGB, knowing how to put all of this together in closed environment, usually on backdrops, to really get the best out of what you are trying to sell. What kind of skills might you need to be a product photographer? From my experience, I think you need to have precision, styling, understanding how to shoot for e-commerce platforms. Because a lot of times you might be able to take a really cool photo, let's say of a deck of cards, but this deck of cards might not look really cool on their website, or really cool on Amazon, or really cool anywhere other than maybe Instagram. You might be the best photographer out there, but if you do not know how to single out all of this information and turn out the best photo for e-commerce specifically, product photography might not be exactly for you. So how difficult is this job? Depending on how good you are at finding clients, this can be medium to easy. It really all depends on how good are you in the studio environment and knowing how to find the right clients. I have personally tried doing this at one point, but I could not find enough clients to make this worth it almost at all. But you could be really good at this and find the right clients, so not going to push you off from it. So what could you be expecting while making money at this specific job? You can see for on average around $50,000 to $80,000. It really depends. If you niche down into, luxury items, you could be making a lot more. If you niche down to other things, might be making a lot less. So we're talking about number 4, which is real estate photographers. And honestly, I know a lot of people that will tell you real estate photography is the best way for new beginners to really get into making this a career, because there are so many real estate agents out there that are looking to have great photos, because that really does sell their houses, their business so much better than these pretty horrible looking iPhone photos that a lot of real estate people do just so they can sell their home. So when talking about real estate photography, what are the requirements? You really need a wide angle lens, a tripod, and sometimes even a drone license. I really think it's vital to have a wide angle lens as part of your kit. Basically, you really need to make the room look bigger than it actually is. This wide angle lens is not going to make the room feel smaller, it's going to make the room feel bigger. When you're trying to sell a home, you don't want it to feel claustrophobic, you don't want it to feel awkward, you really want to sell the home in its best light. And a lot of times, a really wide angle lens is going to help you bring in a bunch of light. Usually, it's going to help you get as much into the frame as possible to really sell that home. You might also want to have a tripod, because a tripod is really essential to getting those parallel lines. You have the straight lines. You want to make sure everything feels natural. You don't want to have a photo that's crooked like that, because that doesn't show professionalism. It shows lazy photography. And the last thing that I said for that was a drone license. I think a drone license is really important. I've done a few photography for homes, some videos for homes, and knowing a lot of the situations, drone anything really came up a lot, because it's a great way to really capture the location, capture how big the home is, see the environment. It is just a great way to sell a home. Honestly, I would recommend just get the drone license, have that in your back pocket, because you can even upsell your work. Let's say you are just going in to take some basic photos of the home, but you say, I have a drone license, I have my drone right here, can I take a quick batch of photos, and I can sell it to you for a pretty cheap price. That is a great way to upsell and help you make a little bit of extra money. What skills might you need for being a good real estate photographer? You really need to be good at composing photos. You also need to be really good at HDR editing and knowing how to make a room look inviting. In one of my last times that I took photos for a home, I brought in one of my friends to help decorate the rooms, to help it look more inviting, and that was one of the best things that I could have ever done. I paid her just to help me decorate the room just a little bit, even using the things that we had there, because she had the eye to really know what would sell a home. If it looks disheveled, it looks like you just threw it in there, that doesn't sell the home properly. I know people that will bring in items to help this place look even better and better, but HDR editing is a really great tool that I actually haven't used yet while doing real estate photography, but it's something that I really want to learn and work on. HDR editing is basically taking a few photos that you took at the same time. It's just slightly bright, it's a little bit darker, and you're basically combining these photos to really get the best of both worlds, basically a little Hannah Montana reference there. You're trying to capture the windows. You want to be a little darker so you can see what's going on outside. You also want it to be bright enough so that you can see everything inside. So it's taking the good parts out of every section of the bright and dark and putting it together. So how hard is real estate photography? I would say it's low to medium. Most homes follow a similar format, so it's easy to kind of do multiple of these in a day. And I know a lot of photography companies will do that. They will stack up a bunch of real estate photography jobs in one day. You can make a decent amount of money for it. So the average salary of a real estate photographer would be around $40,000 to $75,000. Again, depending on high-end realtors, if it's going to be where you live, how much you work. One thing to keep in mind is usually this requires a fast turnaround, because the faster you can give them the photos, the faster they can put them online and really sell that home. This is not like a wedding photographer where sometimes you can take weeks to edit the photos. This is something that you need to take even maybe the next day. I've even tried it the same day, but this is all dependent on trying to be a fast turnaround, because the faster they make money, the faster you make money. So the last one, and this is something a little bit more newer and more unique, which is content creator or social media photographer. In the new wave of social media, this would be photographers who work with brands, influencers, or even manage social media accounts for other people. You would be basically the behind the scenes for someone else, but this could be an actual person, or this could be a brand in itself. What are the requirements? You need to have a pretty strong aesthetic, consistency, and often editing videos, learning how to do both photography and video, because a lot of times, depending on who it is, they're not going to hire a video and photography person. They're going to hire one person, learn video and learn photos, apply for both of those positions in one job. Just like the real estate photographer, you really need to shoot fast, edit on the go. You need to really make this a quick turnaround, depending on how the social media is dependent on. This should be a day of turning it around so that they can, share what they are doing in that moment. Difficulty, again, a lot of these things are kind of hard. It really depends on the situation and the company, the person, whatever. I would put it in medium, but I would put it as competitive. I think a lot of people love content creation, and a lot of people are trying to get into it as behind the scenes or just being the person on camera. So I think this is a very competitive space, and this could be a difficult one to maybe start out, but it definitely can vary on how much you can make, which, talking about that, this is usually a freelance position, and you can make $25 an hour to $100 an hour, and you can make super large amounts of money, or depending on the situation, not very much. I couldn't find a super consistent answer on social media photographer. The best answer I got was from ZipRecruiter. He said it was about $40,000. So here's the truth. You do not need to be the greatest photographer out there, but you need to be reliable. You need to have a great eye, and you need to be constantly learning. I think that's one of the things that I've learned the most is never get complacent. Always feel like there's something new to learn. Whether you want to shoot weddings, work with brands, or build your own portrait business, there is a path out there for you. You should start small, shoot consistently, and build a portfolio that speaks for itself. If you found this helpful, like and subscribe. If you found this video helpful, please let me know in the comments which type of photography would you be most interested in doing. I'll see you later. Peace!